His name is Barron, and he's our son. Stop asking who's the kid. When I say I love you, do not reply with you're welcome. If I say jump, you, I'd like to see that. You must at least consider drinking or whatever else will put you to sleep.
Bill Maher just dropped a list of Melania's supposed marriage rules. And Trump's reaction was exactly what you'd expect, an unfiltered meltdown on Truth Social. But what exactly did Maher say about their relationship that sent Trump over the edge? Stick around to hear the brutal satire that ignited this feud. Before we move on, I would like you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Bill Maher isn't one to pull his punches, but his recent satirical takedown of Melania Trump's so-called marriage rules hit a nerve that no one could miss. The list, delivered with Maher's trademark grin and sting, wasn't just your average comedy bit. It was a sharp, unfiltered dissection of one of the most scrutinized relationships in modern politics.
I copied this list from Michelle Obama. Sometimes when I bounce light off my diamond, Donald's hair will chase it like a cat. I wish I knew why I have a recurring dream I'm pinned beneath a giant orange sack of shit. And if I could tell my younger self just one thing, it would be this. If you catch a leprechaun and he gives you one wish, be more specific.
Maher didn't hold back, calling out the odd silence surrounding Melania's role in the Trump universe with a kind of humor that cuts deeper than it may seem at first. The whole concept of the rules revolved around Maher's take on what it must be like to be married to Donald Trump. A marriage that, as he suggested, looks less like love and more like a business arrangement carefully glued together by legal contracts and non-disclosure agreements. And if there's anyone who could make jokes about a marriage feel like hard truths, it's Bill Maher. For instance, one of his so-called rules included the bride catalog return policy, poking fun at the long-standing public perception that Melania was chosen as though she were an item on display. By framing Melania's role through these satirical rules, Maher shone a hard spotlight on not just them as individuals, but the culture that lets an entire marriage feel like part of a reality show.
You are not to leave your girdle on the bathroom floor. You are not to ask for hand. You are not to ever again mention the bride catalog's return policy. You are not allowed to eat Wendy's in bed. Tell Wendy I can hear her.
It wasn't just about calling out Melania's silence. It was an attack on how celebrity marriages can often celebrate image over soul, optics over honesty. And in the case of the Trumps, that critique hits doubly hard, because so much of their public lives seems curated for show. Maher didn't just stop at surface-level jokes, though. The way he described the dynamic between Donald and Melania painted a picture that's hard to forget. His humor leaned into everything the public has already observed, but doesn't always say out loud. How starkly distant and transactional their relationship feels, how little chemistry they display in public, and how every interaction seems to carry the weight of multiple unspoken conditions. The rules weren't just a laugh. They laid bare an emotional void that even the most loyal Trump supporters can't entirely deny. What really set everything on fire, though, was the way Maher phrased it all. The rules weren't just, haha, look at this celebrity marriage. They reflected something uncomfortably believable. For a figure like Trump, who's built his brand on excess and power, the quiet implication that even his personal life aligns with these critiques was undoubtedly maddening. And let's be honest, Maher had to know this would provoke a classic Trump response. The man is infamously thin-skinned, especially when it comes to anything that feels like a challenge to his image, credibility, or masculinity. But what happened next is the real story. Trump's response wasn't measured or even dismissive. It was personal, emotional, and naturally.
Melania Trump has been in the news a lot lately. I was talking about her in the monologue, and she's on the cover of Us Weekly with this cover, my side of the story. All the stars do it. Tim Gunn has done it. If you have his, he'll be out here in a minute. And I did it. It's practically a rite of passage. You have mine, there you go. In Slovenia, I was a catalog model, which is what you call a model you order out of a catalog. I have no first language. I hope I inspire little girls everywhere to marry for money.
Plastered all over Truth Social for the world to see. Trump's reaction to Bill Maher's satirical list wasn't just thin-skinned. It might as well have been straight out of his greatest hits of overreactions. Within hours of Maher's segment airing, Trump turned to his go-to public diary Truth Social to fire back. And in classic Trump style, The response was more emotional than strategic, calling Maher a befuddled mess and declaring he had Trump derangement syndrome. If there's one consistent thing about Trump, it's that he never takes criticism lightly. Even if the critique is meant to be funny, like Maher's satire, Trump has this uncanny ability to turn it into a full-scale feud. Let's face it, this wasn't exactly shocking. Trump has a long, colorful history of blowing up over public criticism. From suing people to launching verbal grenades at anyone who dares to insult him, Trump seems to treat satire and negative commentary as personal attacks. Remember when he offered $5 million to anyone who could prove Obama's citizenship just to keep a years-long conspiracy alive? Or the time he tried to sue a reporter for critical statements about his wealth.
Or not to look at a single girl. I am allowed to do a phone check whenever I please. You are not to get mad at me about a single thing I ever do. Apparently this is catching on, and a lot of women are doing this now. We got a hold of Melania's list. I don't know if you'd like to, but these are her rules. You are never to take longer than 10 minutes to text me back. You are not to ask for head, and no, this is real. So
his outrage seems less about the content of the criticism and more about a bruised ego. And that's exactly what makes Maher's list so effective. It wasn't sugar-coated, and it wasn't playing dumb. If anything, it poked directly at the thin veneer of the Trump image, and Trump predictably cracked. The posts on Truth Social carried all the signature moves: insults, deflective nicknames, and sweeping accusations to discredit Maher's character. Befuddled mess might be a new one, but the accusation of Trump derangement syndrome felt just like another rerun of The Trump Show. It's his favorite catch-all phrase for anyone who dares call him out. But what stood out wasn't just the insults, it was the tone. The posts practically screamed frustration. They read more like a diary entry from an irate teenager than a strategic move from a former president. And that's where it becomes interesting. This wasn't just Trump brushing off satire. It was Trump exposing yet again how much he lets these things get to him. Trump took the attack so personally that he started indirectly defending others who weren't even targets. For starters, he jumped to the defense of right-wing conspiracy theorist Laura Loomer, who has her own history of controversial remarks. He saw Maher's broader critique of the Trump image as an attack on everyone orbiting Trump world, which again shows how easily this stuff gets under his skin. Trump's loyalty to his perceived inner circle is another trademark move. It doesn't matter if someone is controversial, as long as they align with him, they're worthy of his defense. Of course, the irony here is thick enough to spread on toast. Trump attacking Maher only made the situation worse. By tearing into the comedian and then spiraling into other topics, he amplified the controversy rather than quelling it. This is a classic Trump misstep. What could have been a forgettable comedy routine became days of headlines simply because he couldn't leave it alone. If Maher had aimed for laughs, Trump handed him a bonus round of material. It's almost like Trump treats controversy as if it's a wrestling match.
But there's an amazing story. A man bought a used car and he found something that somebody left in the car, which was a list of 22 relationship rules. Valentine's Day was yesterday. Did you have a good time? We thought we'd save this for Valentine's Day. It's been floating around the internet for a couple of months that the previous car owner's girlfriend had laid out for this guy. And the guy posted it on the internet. This is real, and it became viral. Things like, you are not to have a single girl's phone number.
The louder, the better. But all it really does is show his weak spot, his need for constant validation, and his inability to handle being on the receiving end of a roast. And let's not forget that Trump's posts didn't just reflect his frustration, they broadcasted it. Anyone scrolling through Truth Social could see a man who couldn't let go of a joke. The bigger question is whether Trump realizes how these reactions make him look. Maher's critique wasn't just about Trump's marriage or even his personality, it was about a broader system of superficial appearances. By raging so publicly, Trump inadvertently exposed the very vulnerabilities Maher was mocking. This wasn't just about a comedian versus a politician. It was about satire's ability to strip people down to their core. And whether Trump sees it or not, his response revealed more about himself than Maher's jokes ever could. So, what does this tell us? Well, let's just say Maher didn't miss his mark, and Trump's meltdown might have been the proof he didn't know he was giving. Bill Maher's satire wasn't just about getting laughs. It was a spotlight aimed directly at Trump's biggest insecurities. By crafting the narrative around Melania's marriage rules, Maher exposed Trump's obsession with controlling his image. something his truth social meltdown only made more obvious. This isn't the first time humor has peeled back the layers of a public figure, but what makes it effective is how it reveals what power tries hardest to hide. So here's the real question. Does satire, done right, have the power to dismantle even the most carefully curated facades? Maher's bit might be the perfect example.